Welcome back to Studio F, where on Fast Times with Willy B, we'll be reviewing The Beekeeper. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russell!
Welcome back to Fast Times with Willy B. I'm Willy B, and I got Kory back once again. Kory, how are we feeling today?
I'm feeling like I've been here before.
You have been here before.
At
I think
least
this is your
twice.
7th episode.
Gotta be at least.
I think it is 7. I think I was recently doing a guest count, and I think The Beekeeper was going to be your 7th. So,
Oh my god.
So a touchdown for you.
With
The extra point.
That is true.
You didn't miss it.
So, you know what? I haven't failed you yet.
You haven't
Have
failed
I
me yet.
ever backed up on you?
You haven't. You haven't.
Not yet.
You've
I've been-
postponed me for a couple of hours, but you've never canceled.
I've been mighty close once or twice, but you know what? I'll always have your back, brother. It's always good to be on the show. Always. Thank
Always
you for
pull
having
through.
me.
So today we're going to talk about the Beekeeper.
The Beekeeper.
The Beekeeper. The Beekeeper. David Ayer's newest film. Obviously,
Sure.
David Ayer, kind of a rising name. I wouldn't say a big name, but he's in the past 5-10 years released some action movies. You know, the original Suicide Squad, Bright, Fury. Now the Beekeeper, which is the definition of an action movie.
End of Watch, I think, is the one that people usually give the most praise to. I think.
Yeah.
Well, but it's between that and Fury for sure.
Yeah.
But yes.
But, kind of definitely making a name for himself in action. Stars-wise, we got Jason Statham, a staple when it comes to action movies. Sure. Josh Hutcherson taking on a villain role in this movie. Kind of cool, yeah. Emmy Raver-Lampman, she plays FBI agent, the daughter of the mom that, we'll get in the introduction in a second. Jeremy Irons in this one, your favorite Alfred.
I do love Jeremy Irons, actually. Funnily enough, every time I see that guy, he's just got that energy. Especially Watchmen's my favorite TV show of all time. Yeah. And he plays Ozzy Mandius in that too. So I love Jeremy Irons.
So get a little bit of Jeremy Irons, but let's start with the good. And there's a lot of good. I was
sure.
This was a movie, I saw the early reception. I saw that it was doing well. Anytime Jason Statham's in an action movie, he usually kills it, even if the story is not intriguing enough.
Which is most of the time.
You have a good enough time with Jason Statham. Yeah. That wasn't the case here. We got a good story. We've got phenomenal action. Some of the best choreographed action I've seen in a few years, I'd even say.
Yeah.
Right up there with, I love the John Wick. Now it's 4 movies, so you can't call it a trilogy.
Sure.
Love all 4 John Wick movies.
Quadrilogy?
Yeah, quadrilogy, is that what it is?
Quintuplet?
We'll have to look into that, but probably should know that,
But maybe.
But right up there with the John Wick movies as far as great action goes, I'd say. But let's start with the good. Let's start with the action. We got a lot of it.
Yes, we did.
We got a lot of it, and honestly, I'm gonna backtrack. Let's start with the introduction. I thought this was a really good introduction.
Okay.
He's an actual beekeeper. Like he takes care of bees, makes honey for his neighbor that he rents the shed out from. Well, she gets hacked, and once she gets hacked, they take all of her money, which is millions of dollars, and she ends up killing herself.
Yeah.
Her daughter's an FBI agent, thinks it's Jason Statham. Well, Jason Statham's a part of this organization known as the Beekeepers. So he calls the Beekeepers, where he's retired from, tracks down these scammers, burns the building down. When that happened, I was like, you could have ended the movie right there, and you just had a 10 out of 10 short movie.
Yeah,
The first 25 minutes, I was like,
really good.
Balls to the walls. Like you established this. You made a good relationship between the old lady and him, and the daughter kind of adds a little thing to it, being an FBI agent, thinking it's him. He gets his revenge. All of that in 25 minutes, and you're like, we still got an hour and 20 left.
And honestly, I think David Ayer, because I should have checked, but I'm assuming he did the writing he does all the writing for all of his films, so I'm assuming he did. I think he did really good of establishing the relationship between Jason Statham and that lady, because they only have like one interaction.
Yeah.
Couple lines of dialogue, and that's it. And you already know. I mean, it's terrific.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah. I was really impressed, actually.
So, he blows this building up, and then it turns into, I've got to find the guy at the top.
Sure.
And in that sense, it felt a lot like John Wick, but it had a different vibe to it, because
It did.
we talked about this a little bit over the phone. You know, John Wick can take punches. This guy almost, I mean, I think 3 total punches like get landed on him in the entire movie.
There's literally one character that was able to actually land anything on him.
Yeah.
Not just but anything on him. And this guy had a minigun on him at one point.
Yeah.
And and usually, I even said this to you whenever we were talking about it earlier, but usually I don't like that kind of thing. The kind of action movie where it's like, well, this is just a guy who's so good at punching that you can't punch him.
Yeah.
But there is something different about it, which we will get into later.
That makes it a superhero movie at that point.
But
this didn't feel like a superhero movie.
It didn't feel like that at all. And it felt like, in a weird way, kind of, it might sound, it's kind of dumb, but kind of feasible in a way, too.
Yeah.
And I think it's just that there's kind of a grounded nature to it.
Yeah.
But also,
the background with the beekeepers being these people that like take out the bad for the government.
Yeah.
That helped. It was a cool concept, but like going back to what I said, it feels like John Wick. Instead of his dog dying and his car getting stolen, the old lady commits suicide after she gets scammed.
Yeah.
And then after he makes his first kill, they send a beekeeper after him. He wipes through her, and that's basically excommunicado. But then they're like, yeah, we're good. You guys are on your own.
See, that's what I love. It's not like, well, we'll just send 1,000,000 assassins. They get one beekeeper dies, and they're like, you know what? Let's just not try that.
We're going to remain neutral, is what they said.
Which I love that. But that he's a rogue agent.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, you watch the Mission Impossible movies. Tom Cruise he's going rogue every movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his whole thing. But usually it's like, well, we gotta get him. We gotta track him down. And for once, I just like that, like, this is on you. Like, you shouldn't have fucked with him or whatever.
25 minutes in, I'm like, okay, where do we go from here?
Sure.
And it just turned into basically, Adam Clay is his name, played by Jason Statham, against the continent.
Yeah.
Because then, you find out the twist that the head scammer is Josh Hutcherson's character. That's not the twist, but you find out that his mom just got, what is it called? She just got not vowed in, but
whenever she got sworn in.
Sworn in. She got sworn in as the president.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, well, that's crazy. And then you find out that her campaign funding was from the scamming. And like the story all had these twists and turns that all ended up connecting. And I thought it was actually, with action, you would usually just get a lot of action with a bad story. Or you sometimes get that rare occasion where you get here with the Beekeeper, the John Wick movies. You get a great story with great action.
And sometimes there's really good stories with not great action.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm a massive Batman fan. Those Nolan movies, none of them drop below an 8 for me. 8, 9, 10, honestly. 8, 10, 10 maybe even. But really great stories, I think. Terrific stories. I think the action, at least as far as the hand-to-hand stuff, is absolute balls in those movies.
Yeah. But the story, the action, almost everything about this movie was really good. We can dive into some of the action scenes. I mean, the elevator scene was one of my favorites.
I wanted to text you in the theater and say, look out for the elevator, but I was like, I'm just going to let him experience that for himself. That absolutely caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He, they shoot up the top of the elevator because they know he's up there. Mm-hmm. And then after they're out of ammo, he goes, try again, and then blows up the elevator to the point where it's falling down. It was crazy. Like, one guy gets chopped in half.
See, I know I just said it, but it reminded me of The Dark Knight. That scene in The Dark Knight where Batman, he strings a bunch of them along and he kicks one guy off and they all fall. It felt like that.
Yeah.
The way they all just got wrapped in this one. And that's like, whenever he was, taping up or, whatever, using silly putty or whatever he was using to tape this string up to the wall. Yeah. I had no idea what that... I thought that was going to be like some sort of tripwire that explodes or something. More simple, way more interesting.
Yeah. We just read this review on it, and it said it's like if an 11-year-old boy who is obsessed with bees trying to rewrite John Wick from memory. And it feels like that. Like, it definitely takes a lot of inspiration from Stileski's John Wick films, but it also stands alone because I thought the bee stuff was really interesting.
So did I.
How they connected it with, the actual, life of bees.
Hot take, I like the universe building of the Beekeeper stuff than I do the John Wick, the whole assassin thing that they have going on there.
Yeah.
I think all that shit with the coins and all that stuff, kind of after a while, it kind of gets kind of samey. This felt refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I mean, we'll get into our scores later. I would say I definitely enjoy the first and fourth John Wick more. Like, I think those two are better movies.
Sure, yeah.
But I would say this is right in the mix with
the second and third.
Second and third, like being on the same level of how good they are.
I'd say I'm exactly right there with you. I would say 1 and 4. You definitely kind of.
And I love all four of them.
Me too. Oh, I think all four of them are terrific movies. But yeah, definitely, especially like that third one. I think it gets a little long. But the Beekeeper, the thing I liked about it is, I don't think it's overstayed its welcome, honestly. And it was nonstop. Gas pedal, gas pedal, gas pedal.
Very fast paced. Very fast paced.
And I loved it.
They hit the ground running and they didn't let go. You get when I say the action sequences were great, to do as much action as they did and make it all feel fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, right there, tip the cap to David Ayer, you know?
Yeah. And that 11-year-old boy, you know, recounting the John Wick thing, that's really funny, but I also don't want to take away from, like, I think David Ayer made something solid here. And in a way, I would like to see this universe, you know, I'd like to see it expanded or maybe even like a sequel or something. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, I like those John Wick movies again. But some of the universe building, like I said, it gets a little exhausting, you know, because it gets a little samey. I don't even know where you could take this, but if he for some reason has a solid idea for maybe a sequel, I would 100% go see a sequel.
For me, I would definitely go see it. For me, I kind of want it left alone because
exactly.
To me, it also feels a lot like the Equalizer trilogy. I loved the first one. The second one was good enough. The third one kind of fell off a little bit. If they just left it with that first one, you know, I'd be okay with it.
I was actually going to compare it to the Equalizer earlier, but I forgot. In the sense that, you know, John Wick kind of lives in peace or whatever, and then, you know, things go bad or whatever. But I think it reminded me more of the Equalizer, the way he's not even just, you know, hiding under the guise of being a peaceful man who wants to be left alone or whatever. Like, he's actively helping these bees. He's actively taking care of this old lady. Like, he's involved in his, you know, community, even though it's a small community. He's involved in his hive.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was very, very Equalizer. And I thought it was well done.
Yeah, I think Equalizer and the first Equalizer and the John Wick movies are my go-to when talking action. Me too. Yeah, this is right up there. I mean, I wouldn't say it's as good as the first Equalizer or the first John Wick, but it's not too far behind.
No, yeah, I definitely wouldn't say that, but I would say, again, really solid. I'll probably buy this one on DVD.
Oh, I'm going to get it
I had a good
on
time.
physical for sure.
I had a really good time.
I mean, there's not much more to talk about in the good. Great action, a very, very compelling story.
Yeah.
Jason Statham was awesome, which you expect anytime he's on screen in an action movie.
And I don't want to fly past that because it's so easy to go, you know, Statham. You know Statham's going to Statham. But, I mean, I really, like, especially watching this movie and really paying attention, I'm like, he's like... There's something about him that just, you get the feeling he's comfortable on any set, it feels like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of that is like, well, he plays the same role, yada, yada, yada. But, you know, this one, he had less of a you know, like the standoffish, you know, kind of nature to him. He just kind of seemed like, I'm going to do this thing, and you're just going to have to move out of the way. And also, like, he's also got some comedic timing to him, too. I feel like not a lot of people give him credit for that. He's kind of funny.
Like, when things were going down, he's like, time to protect the hive. And he relates it back to bees.
Yeah.
You know?
Or even the scene where he infiltrates the one call center, and everybody's, like, clapping and celebrating because they just got a bunch of money, and the special forces guys are leaving. And he's clapping, and he seems happy. And then on a dime, he just turns around and looks at the guy, stares at the guy right behind him, who knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. That's really funny.
No, I thought it was... I liked it a lot. The editing was, you know, pretty good at parts. I know you said there were some minor things, but...
Choppy stuff. We'll get into it, yeah.
But, no, Statham... It's almost anytime he's in an action film, even when he's in a stacked cast, like in The Expendables, he owns the screen.
Yeah, for sure.
He owns the screen.
I think he outdoes everybody else in the Expendables.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, Expendables, I love Sylvester Stallone, I love Dolph Lundgren, but Jason Statham owns the screen anytime he's on it and it comes to action.
Yeah.
I mean, he's over 60 now, isn't he? Or is he's pushing 60? He's in his upper 50s.
He's got to be at least...
I think he might be 58. I think it's 58.
Statham, really?
Yeah.
He might be. He's probably at least about 55.
He can still get around for his age.
Oh, my God. He's doing more stuff
like
than
a cheetah,
me
man.
and you can.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of, like, and it's not even just stand-up action. I mean, he's doing slides and shit, kicking people's knees out, whatever. Man, I can't even get on the ground to kick somebody's knees out. You know what I mean?
But no, Statham was phenomenal.
He's terrific.
We definitely, like you said, don't fly by that because he definitely deserves his just due.
Yeah.
He's never going to be, an Oscar-winning actor, but the best way to put it is he owns the screen when he's on it.
Sure. And also, I want to give a shout-out to Jeremy Irons, because whenever we were talking about this, because they build up, like, such a legend around Jason Statham. And I also like the idea that it's not... they're just doing, this guy, you have to watch out for this guy. He's Baba Yaga. He's John.
I was going to say, when Irons found out, or Wallace is who he plays, found out that he was a beekeeper, that also felt...
It's the fact that it's like, if they're a beekeeper.
Yeah.
That's what... And I think the reason that they build up that legend so well is because Jeremy Irons sells being scared out of his mind so well.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. And a lot of those scenes were funny because Josh Hutcherson would be like, what are you scared of? He'd be like, you shut up, you little prick. You have no idea what you just did.
Yeah.
He sold that so well.
Yeah, that felt a lot like John Wick 2 when he was like, they called him Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga.
He once stabbed a man in the eye. Or killed a man with a pencil.
And I like...
fucking pencil. We're not talking about John Wick, but I love that scene. I love that scene.
I love that, like, and especially... He went out of his way, too, to be like, there could be 100 men in this room, and he will find a way to kill you and make it out alive.
Well, the scene Jeremy Irons gathered the troops. Mm-hmm. He was like, you guys are Navy SEALs, Marines.
Right.
But in his eyes, you're pussies.
Yeah. He's like, he makes you all look like a bunch of pussies.
Yeah. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, there's 20 Navy SEAls deep. And they're nothing. He was talking to them as a collective group, not as one individual. He's like, as a collective group, you guys are nothing to him.
I also love that scene whenever he's about to infiltrate the one call center, and he just meets up with a bunch of, like, task force people standing
FBI.
outside the building. He goes in, he's like, I'm going to flush him out. You guys wait for him to come out. And they're like, who the fuck are you? And then they start a fight with them, and he takes them all down. And also
I did love that he didn't kill any of them. Like, that's cool. He doesn't kill anybody that's good. But I was just about to say, they don't go out of their way to show you, like, he doesn't, stand there and go, are you done yet? And throw down a gun. He just walks away. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, this would be a lot cooler if he doesn't kill anybody. And he doesn't. Yeah. He only kills the people that truly, they got in his way, but he doesn't just kill people that get in his way. It's like, if you're one of these, one of the people that are coming after me or coming after what, like, that's whenever you He kills for the good of the world.
Yeah. And he truly sees it as that.
Truly a good person. Yeah, for sure. Anything else you'd like to add to the good?
In general, I want to talk about just a little bit like the color grading and some of the design aspects of like, and we keep bringing it up, but it's instead of doing the John Wick, they have what is that called, where you patch people in for calls and stuff like that. This time they have like those box first Apple, computers and whatnot, and they've got the green text or whatever, and they got this green and purple color scheme to it and things like that. It's super interesting. They easily could have went, everything's yellow because it's a beehive. Yeah. And they didn't. And I actually really
There was a lot of color in this movie.
A lot of color.
Call centers all would have neon flashing.
Yep.
The scene where they're at the what is it? Harforth, whatever, the president's estate. The blue in the sky, the green in the grass, the ocean, the red, colorful. A lot of reds.
I think that's the thing I like more than the John Wick movies too, is because those movies are pretty gray most of the time. Which sometimes, like especially
4
John
was
Wick
the first time they really
neon lighted everything.
And Parabellum has a lot of light too, but the fourth one, when they're in Japan, it definitely takes over the color.
It's a good contrast, but this one is you could see everything. And then there was something else Actually, this is a side note and a question for you, actually.
Yeah.
Did you also remember the first call center that he goes in and burns down?
Yeah.
And, the guy that, I just want to bring this up. You know what? I'm going to add this in the good. When he ties that guy up with wire and then takes the car and drives it into the river. Into the river. That was hilarious.
Oh, everything he did to that guy was hilarious.
It's so funny.
First, he cuts the fingers off when he takes over his bee shed.
Yeah.
And then he's
bee shack.
Here, he's just talking to him so nonchalant. He's like, 1 second, let me wrap this around you.
Yeah.
And then he starts the car, and he's like, wait, no.
I know. And I thought he was just going to have the car hit him.
Yeah.
And then whenever it goes past him, I was like, did he miss? And then the guy gets yanked. And I'm like, that's funny action. But it's good action, too.
There was a lot of creativity when it came to the action.
Man.
That's what I was saying. God. Like, you get a lot of action in this movie, but it's very creative.
Yeah, it doesn't feel samey. And I out of a lot of action movies that have gotten really samey for me lately, it was nice.
Yeah.
And my question is, with that guy, when the movie first opened up, did you also think that was Josh Hutcherson for a minute? Because that guy looks... We'll look it up after. That guy looks astoundingly like Josh Hutcherson.
I think maybe if I didn't watch Five Nights at Freddy a few months ago... Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't know, maybe because Hutcherson's fresh in my brain from less than 3 months ago, but...
Yeah, right. Well, I forgot Hutcherson was, in this movie, he's got, like, blonde hair, and it's kind of long and curly and whatever. And this guy literally just has Josh Hutcherson's build, his face, I think, looks the same hair and stuff. And I thought first... I couldn't figure it out. And then later he comes up, and I'm like, okay, that's him.
Let's move on to the meh.
Yeah.
For me, the first meh I have is when he blows up the building, the CGI is spotty, but...
Yeah.
It's something you can look past, because it's not bad.
It's not even bad. Yeah,
but
it's just like...
it's noticeable, but it's like... At the same time, you're like, what he just did was so bad. Because he walks in with the gas tanks, and he's like, oh, so evacuate the building, because I'm blowing it up.
Yeah.
And like when he's talking to the receptionist, and he's holding up gas tanks, and she's like... okay. And like,
I like the confidence of not, I'm going to walk in there broad-shouldered and whatever. He just walks in there and he's like, by the way, you might want to go because I'm actually going to burn
Then he beats the dude with the phone.
I love that.
But
that felt
now we're going back to the good.
I know, I'm sorry. That reminds me of the I'm Vengeance scene, though. It's just
Yeah.
like, you threw in a couple extra punches to scare the shit out of everybody.
No, he beat him with the phone. But the CGI right there was a little spotty. Then, some of the dialogue was cheesy. There was a conversation between the president and Wallace that was like, when she was like, I still think of you sometimes. And he goes, sometimes.
And then it cuts away.
I'm like, okay? Like,
and I don't even know what that's implying.
But again, the dialogue wasn't bad by any means, but there was a couple that stuck out, and that's why I threw it in the meh category.
Specifically, I didn't think this was bad. At first, I thought this was going to be something on the bad, but towards the end of the film, I kind of came around to it. The girl that played the FBI agent, I actually did not like her for like the first... 20-25 minutes. I thought her dialogue was bad.
Okay.
I thought she delivered it bad. But then over time it seemed like... And maybe this might just be me settling into the movie, but maybe they also shot it in, sequential order. So maybe she kind of just settled into it and she got more comfortable with it. Because I didn't recognize her at all. I have no idea.
She got better once she put the FBI jacket on almost.
Yeah.
I could agree with that.
Her
I could feel that.
Stuff, I just wasn't... I was like...
I thought she was a killer at first. I thought she, killed the old lady.
That's something I was going to say. I'm putting this in meh because I don't want to... It feels wrong to put it in good. Yeah. But I did not think they were going to commit to suicide. In movies, they never do. Anytime somebody commits suicide, it's always somebody... It's a secret,
Dude,
it's a plot.
It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
When I saw the bullet shell and the blood, I was like, no.
No.
And then I saw her...
I thought she got murdered at first.
No, at first I thought it was suicide.
Okay.
And then I saw the daughter come in, who at the time I didn't think was the daughter, and I was like, she got killed, okay, this is carrying the story along. And then I found out it was her daughter, I was like, no, my heart broke all over again. I was like, it was,
yeah, whenever she shows up, I'm like, see, that's another reason why I thought she got murdered. I went, they're literally, because, again, I was expecting John Wick, so I was expecting, you killed somebody I like, and then, he gets beat up a little bit, and then he goes, I'm coming back for revenge.
Yeah.
Not that at all. They just stick to, she lost $2 million out of this charity fund that she was taking care of.
Yeah.
And also, shout out to David Ayer. We're back to the good, I'm sorry. That, they actually shot that of her getting scammed. They shot that really well, because I felt tense.
Yeah.
And even, I don't usually do this, but in my mind, I was actually going, please don't hit that button. Please don't hit that button. Don't send that money. And then she did it.
I know. And when I saw them drain, my heart almost dropped like I imagine hers, if that happened to you.
Oh, that's awful. I don't even...
it's fortunately never happened to me. But, yeah.
Yeah, that's an awful turnout. And again, I'm...
But it was good.
Because it doesn't feel good to put it in the good. But, sometimes these things happen. I think it's okay to not ignore that.
That's why I put the introduction in the good, though, because it is a modern thing that happens quite a bit.
It's something that happens.
Scamming is a thing. Mm-hmm. So let's jump to the bad. Here I have David Witz. He is the guy that played Garnett.
Partner?
That played Garnett.
The guy I thought was Josh Hutcherson.
I thought he was horrible. It might have been more of the writing. I feel like his character was just written poorly, but I don't think he added much justice to it.
I didn't think he was bad. I think for me, I didn't like the character because, and you're not supposed to, but it annoyed me because I was like, this is your, it's always, they always do the rich, the rich, what are those people, like, hipster, like the
Yeah.
rich hipster guy. And it reminded me of, like, Taika Waititi in like, Free Guy.
Okay.
You know, that kind of, and that's like, I'm like, that's kind of tropey and whatever.
Yeah.
And then we get another one of those guys later, but he was just kind of really charismatic, so I had fun with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, I can get behind that.
And then I would say some of the acting, and I know you can agree with me, some of the acting was kind of uninspiring, a little stale, but...
Yeah, so the two FBI agents, I think both of them had some moments where I was like...
Yeah, Wiley and...
Yeah, I like the part where Jason Statham almost beats the one guy up and then gets rid of the gun. And he's like, hey, I got beat up. Can I borrow your gun?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I liked Wiley. I mean, outside of that, there's not much more in the bad for me. This was a very good movie. I wouldn't say, it's anything earth-shattering groundbreaking. It definitely took inspiration from John Wick.
Mm-hmm. If you're looking for more sustenance, definitely John Wick is probably more your thing. But, man, if you're just trying to have a good time...
This is a great film for that.
And again, like, I know we've talked a lot about the action, but I really, there's not enough good things we could say about it, honestly. A lot of times, even in those John Wick films, I've talked about this, there's a lot of times where, John Wick is, he's not perfect with his punches, so he's got to throw multiple, he's got to hit the same guy in the same place the same amount of times, or shoot him multiple times, or whatever. In this, you felt the impact of some of this stuff, man. Yeah. And honestly, it kind of brought me back to, it reminds me of Batman v Superman. Of all movies in the world, the warehouse scene with Batman. Mm-hmm. There's just a way of having the camera, a lot of people like to do, like when somebody gets punched, you kind of do a shaky cam, whatever. Usually that doesn't work for me, but something about David Ayer, man, it just worked for me in this one. Honestly, I felt every hit. Yeah. And I think it was terrific. I think it looks terrific. I think even the score was pretty good. Pretty well fitting. I liked how it ended. Yeah. This is something I wanted to bring up that was actually in the meh. I think the mom being the president twist was good. The only thing is that whenever, at the end, whenever they go, oh my God, there's no way, that's the president. I already knew that. Because whenever Wallace first calls the mom, I saw the flag pinned on her shirt in that scene. And I don't know why, I just picked it up immediately. I went, well, she's either the Secretary of State, or she's got to be Vice President or President. So I knew she was going to be one of those. So I kind of wish and maybe that's just a me thing, I wish I hadn't picked up on that.
Let's jump to our final thoughts and ratings. What do you want? I mean, you kind of just said it. Like, the action's great. You can only say so many words. What do you want to leave on this movie, and what would you give it out of 10?
What I want to leave on this movie is, honestly, I know people like to jive back to Suicide Squad a lot with David Ayer. I know a lot of people like to talk about Bright. I know those two films didn't do good. I love Suicide Squad. But I think really if you watch Fury, you watch End of Watch. And now watching this, I want to see more action from him. Yeah. Honestly. And I think he's a good storyteller too. I think he has it in him. Sometimes some dialogue could, needs to be touched up or whatnot. I even think that, like Suicide Squad, a movie I love. But like, all in all, man, I really feel... it made me happy. Because I know this guy's been really down in the dumps about, the studio interference with Suicide Squad and stuff. So, all in all, I want to see more stuff from him. I had a really good time, and I'm going to give it an 8. Sure.
All right. For me, I'm in the same boat. I'm right on an 8 out of 10. We were talking yesterday. You were kind of in between a 7 and 8, and I came out solid 8. I knew where I was at. I'm sticking with it. Great action, very compelling story. Like you said, if there is a sequel, I'd see it. I almost want this to be a one-off, and I'm gonna revisit this. This is a movie that I could see myself watching more. And
feels very rewatchable.
Oh, for sure, very high replay value because it's a quick 90. I mean, I think it's a hour 45. Yeah. I think it's 150 or 115, 105 minutes. But it doesn't feel like that. No. It's very well paced, just because there's so much action and the story is so compelling that you can buckle in and it's a fun ride. It's a quick ride.
I didn't feel like anything was missing either. Yeah, it felt just right. Yeah. And I had my small nitpicks, like again some small editing stuff, not like on the whole like a pacing thing, just like that cut to that cut was kind of strange. Yeah, certain things like that, but yeah. Honestly.
Some of the acting, but like it's things you can get over because it's an action movie, and like you said, shout out to David Ayer. Great movie, and I do want to see more action from him, even if it's something different from the Beekeeper. I want to see what this guy can come up with. So
yeah, I'm interested to. He seems bright. I think he was maybe maybe worried about, if he could bounce back from, maybe Bright and Suicide Squad and, whatever. But I think he absolutely will. And something I wanted to say earlier, but I forgot. I had it at a 7, actually. I letterboxed it and everything on a 7. But the more we talked about it, the more I'm like, I have no reason to give this a 7.
Yeah.
So it's an 8. Yeah.
It's an 8, for sure. Well, that'll do it for the Beekeeper. Thank you again, Kory, for coming on. 7.
Absolutely.
Lucky number 7. Thank you all for watching. If you like what you're watching, check out some videos, check out this playlist, hit the subscribe button.
Yes,
Social
please.
links down in the description below. You're here. Might as well follow.
They're all as good or better than the one we just did.
So, yeah. But thank you guys again for watching. We will talk to you all soon. Peace.